Hey, Alex, it's
Hey
Rochelle.
there.
I'm not feeling too well tonight, so I'm gonna keep my camera off.
Okay, sorry to hear that.
That's
Yeah,
all right. Thank you.
feel better.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, we've got 1 minute to start time. So we have a quorum. All right, it's 6:30 p.m. and I'm calling to order the October 12th, 2023 meeting of Advisory Neighborhood Commission 2G. I'm the chair, Alexander Padro. I will ask the secretary to call the roll.
Thank you, Alex. We'll start with Commission 2G01.
You're muted, Tony.
Present.
Thank you. Commission 2G02,
President?
2G03. Looks like we don't have Saranda yet. 2G04, I am present. 2G05, present, and 2G06, we have Rochelle.
Here. Yep.
We have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Members of the commission, I call your attention to the draft agenda that was previously circulated. If there are no additions or deletions that are proposed by the members of the commission, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
So moved.
It's been properly moved by Mr. McCarty, seconded by Ms. Berry. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, and raise your hand.
Aye.
Great.
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. 500. Thank you very much. I don't see anyone from MPD yet, so let's go ahead and move on to announcements. Actually, I don't see folks from the mayor's office or the council member's office either. Where is everybody tonight?
I have no idea.
Know that Mr. Romanowski is available because I heard from him earlier. Well, we'll move on the agenda and hopefully we'll come back later as folks join us. Oh, I do see someone from council member's office. So, see Pablo here. Good evening, Pablo. How are you doing today?
Good evening. How are y'all doing?
Great.
Doing great. Thanks for joining us.
Of course, yeah, happy to be here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Pablo. I'm Councilmember Pinto's Constituent Services Coordinator, and I'll just be filling in for Brian today, who couldn't make it. Should I just go ahead and jump into my updates?
Yes, please do.
Perfect. All right. So as I'm sure many of you have heard, Councilmember Pinto recently announced her Secure DC plan a few weeks ago, and that plan is going to drive her work and the Committee on the Judiciary and Public Safety's work this fall. This is a pretty comprehensive package of bills and initiatives that build on the emergency legislation that the council passed in July and fills gaps in our current laws. So since it's pretty comprehensive, I did want to just give a brief overview of these bills. There's three main priority areas for these bills, the first being accountability. The plan will require judges to provide a written explanation if they decide to release someone who's accused of committing a violent crime pre-trial and ensures repeat offenders are held pre-trial. It'll create a new felony offense for firing a gun in public and for illegally discarding a firearm. It makes it more difficult for people convicted of a gun offense to carry a firearm again. It increases the types of cases that can be charged as carjackings. It establishes a task force to develop new pre-arrest diversions for low-level offenses that may not require a police arrest. And we know these low-level offenses can often tie up the courts from working on more serious crimes. The second area is prevention and ending cycles of violence. So this includes safer public spaces, which includes establishing security patrols, increased lighting and cameras around our bus and metro stations, recreational spaces, schools, and commercial corridors. This expands a pilot program that she funded in the budget to all wards of the city. This would also include job training, which could have some robust hospitality industry training for individuals serving sentences at DC jail to set them up for successful reentry and reduce recidivism rates. There's also a transgender fatality review board included, which could increase protections for transgender people by establishing a first-in-the-nation review board to investigate the deaths and make policy recommendations on how to improve protections. And the third area of the Secure DC plan focuses on government supports and oversight. So the council member will hold roundtables on improving coordination of our various violence interruption programs and on strategies to curb retail theft, which has been in the news quite a bit lately. We've talked before about hiring and retention challenges at MPD. Now this adds hiring and retention incentives to fill critical positions at MPD's partner agencies, like the Department of Behavioral Health, the Department of Corrections, Youth Rehabilitation Services, and the Office of Unified Communications. The Office of Unified Communications, which runs our 911 and 311 call center, has also been in the news a lot lately. In July, the council passed Councilmember Pinto's emergency bill to increase transparency, accuracy, and accountability at OUC. Last week, Councilmember Pinto held a hearing on OUC oversight and on a permanent version of the July legislation. This would require OUC to have a public dashboard documenting errors, reasons for errors, the time it takes them to answer calls, and their staffing levels. Councilmember Pinto is going to continue to work with OUC and FEMS to improve response times and eliminate mistakes. We know each second matters when lives are on the line, and emergency response is just too important to not get right. And I know there's a big plan with a lot of parts. Councilmember Pinto wants to hear from you as the committee works to schedule hearings and markups of the various bills. And I'll make sure to post links in the chat and an email to send questions or comments to as well. If you have any other questions about any specifics of the bill, our committee staff are happy to dive into that a little bit more for you. I also wanted to mention lastly that Councilmember Pinto is hosting public safety walks with each ward council member in their wards this month. Our Ward 2 walk will take place in Shaw on Tuesday, October 17th at 5 p.m. We'll start at the Kennedy Rec Center, making stops at 5th and O, 8th and N, and eventually end at 12th and M streets. So I'll go ahead and post a link to more information about that in the chat as well, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Pablo. Any questions for Pablo from members of the commission? Don't see any hands.
I just have one quick question about the council member's work on OUC. I know that she hosted her first hearing and the committee's marking things up, but one of the things that I've heard from, concerns that I've heard from constituents is the after the fact reporting and not providing all the details. A lot of folks have really tried to get hands on like transcripts of calls. And I know that the mayor's office and OUC keep those very tight, but they can be helpful in understanding where things went wrong. And so I'm just curious if she is working to, really working to release as much data as appropriate and possible for folks to have.
I mean, that's certainly the goal. That's, a big focus of the legislation related to OUC is increasing their transparency. And, obviously we don't want people's private information being made public, but as much as is safe and responsible to be made transparent is what we would like to be made transparent, because we really want to ensure accountability of OUC to make sure it's performing to the level that it should be.
Thank you.
Right, and we've been joined by Commissioner Watkins. Any other questions for Pablo before we go to the audience? I don't see any other questions for our Ward 2 council member representative. So, are there any questions from Members of the audience, please use the raise your hand feature or use *69 if you are on the phone. You have a question for the Ward 2 council members representative, please raise your hand or use *69. And going once, going twice. I don't see any questions for you, Pablo. So, Commissioner Watkins, you missed a short presentation from the Ward 2 council member's office about the recent crime legislation that she's introduced. So.
I apologize for my lateness. Unfortunately, I'm having technical problems. I'm on my phone right now, and I'm now trying to switch over back to my laptop.
Okay, so Pablo has added several links related to his presentation. So if anyone is looking for additional information, you can access it at those links. So since we don't have any other questions for you, Pablo, thank you for being with us this evening, and we look forward to joining the council member on the walk next Tuesday.
Of course, happy to be here. Thank you so much.
All right, I do see a representative from Events DC. Let me go ahead and promote Solana Vandernet so we can hear from Events DC. Events DC manages the Carnegie Library and grounds, as well as the DC Convention Center in our jurisdiction. Oh, maybe she doesn't have anything that she wants to share. I'll write her again. Yep. Okay. She said she had a problem with the link. Sending it again. There she goes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. Good evening. My name is Solana Vandernet. I'm the Senior Manager of Community Engagement for the Walter E. Washington Convention Center. I'm happy to serve as a connection point between you and Events DC. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I'll put my contact information in the chat. As a reminder, to learn more about Events DC, our programs, initiatives, and other opportunities, visit eventsdc.com. If you haven't already done so, please sign up for our electronic mailing list and follow us on our social media platforms at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'll put this information in the chat as well. Regarding the October event calendar, for the rest of this month, we have 4 upcoming events at the Convention Center, 2 single day and 2 multi-days. I would like to highlight 2 of these events. Next Friday, October 20th through Tuesday, October 24th, the American Academy of Pediatrics National Conference and Exhibition will be held with an estimated attendance of 15,000. This is the 2nd largest event of the month. And on Wednesday, October 25th through Saturday, October 28th, the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics annual meeting and exposition will be with us with an estimated attendance of 6,000. Thank you to everyone who was able to attend a night circus presented by Events DC on the Carnegie Library lawn this past Saturday, September 30th. Our community engagement team was thrilled to welcome more than 2,000 people to this exciting program, which was part of the annual Art All Night Shaw activations. We look forward to learning about your experience at a night circus. Please let us know how we did and what we can improve on by completing this survey, and I will include the survey link in this chat as well. So thank you for letting me join this call, and please let me know if you have any questions.
Great. Thank you very much. Members of the commission, any questions for Ms. Vandernet? Rochelle?
Hey, you know, I advocate all the time for traffic control officers there. I don't frankly care how large the convention is, because when the traffic control officers there, it just really helps the participants and the neighbors. So do you know if there's going to be traffic control officers for that next large group coming?
For the 15,000?
Yeah.
I can follow up. I'll ask.
Yeah, because it makes a huge difference. I mean, again, if my constituents walk those corners all the time, the 7th, the 9th, and let me tell you, thank God they were there this past couple of days, because you know how large the Army group was. And it was really helpful for both the drivers and the pedestrians. It just makes a world of difference.
Well, thank you for that feedback, and I will send you a follow-up email about that.
Well, I mean, but here's one thing that I know there's like some sort of thing about do they pay for or whatever. I always say events DC should make it mandate or something when there's a significant group. I'll just say it again. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that it is something that bears further study. I know that the pedestrian experience trying to get to the south of the convention center can be rather difficult because of all the different streets that are intersecting around Mount Vernon Square. So I certainly would second Commissioner Nigro's suggestion, and maybe it's events that have over a certain expected attendance that should automatically get that, or otherwise, I guess I'm at a loss to understand how the decisions are being made as to when those personnel are deployed. So if you could respond to all the commissioners, Solana, that would be very helpful.
Great, will do.
Solana, the Art All Night function that you all had was outstanding.
Oh, good. I'm glad you liked it.
Yes.
It was quite the extravaganza, and that was the
Yes.
that Event CC had activated the East and the West Lawn
Yes.
at Carnegie Library. So we're really excited that the community had a great time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Other questions for the Events DC representative? Members of the commission? I don't see any. Members of the public, if you have a question for Ms. Vandernet, please use the raise your hand feature or use star 69 if you're on the phone. Again, questions for Events DC representative Solana Vandernet. Raise your hand feature or star 69. Going once, going twice, done. All right, no additional questions for you. Solana, thank you for joining us this evening.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
So I do see that in the chat, there is some information that Grace Reader has provided in lieu of a presentation. Unfortunately, she's not able to join us. First item is Operation Trident, which targets violent offenders. And there's a link for more information. Mayor's Disability Tech Summit taking place this Saturday, the 21st from 10 to 4 p.m. at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center, and you can RSVP by using the link. The mayor announced the Teacher of the Year yesterday. It's Beth Barkley from Cardozo. It's a link to a press release. Mayor wanted to note $4.5 million in grants to support student mental health. There's a link to that. And then lastly, the mayor wanted to note that the former Dave Thomas Circle at the intersection of New York Avenue, Florida Avenue, Northwest, Northeast is going to be renamed in honor of Mamie Peanut Johnson. So it's going to be Mamie Peanut Johnson Plaza. If you're not familiar with Ms. Johnson, she was an early female professional baseball player. And if you're wondering more about her, there's a press release that's available and a link. And if you've been to the Lincoln Theater in the past couple of years, on the alley side of the building facing Ben's Chili Bowl, there is a mural that honors Ms. Johnson. So those are the announcements that were provided in lieu of a presentation from our representative from the Mayor's Office of Constituent Relations and Services. So I presume there are no questions about those. So, and I still don't see any members, and representatives from the Metropolitan Police Department or any other district government agencies. If you're a representative of a district government agency and I'm not recognizing you, please use the raise your hand feature, use star 69 if you're on the phone, and happy to promote you to panelist, but I don't see anyone indicating that. So we'll move on to the two items. Sorry. Any announcements on the part of commissioners? Announcements from commissioners. Yes, Commissioner McCartney.
I would just like to extend an invitation to everybody on the call. The Friends of 10th Street Park in 2G04 are hosting their fall festival in the park at 1119 10th Street Northwest on Sunday from 1 to 4 p.m. Family friendly. There's going to be live band, face painter, pumpkin painting for the kiddos, candy and treats. So everyone is invited to come out to 2G04 and hang out with the Friends of 10th Street Park on Sunday.
Great. That's the 10th Street Park is an under recognized community gem. So if you're not familiar with it, this might be a great opportunity to take advantage of chance to see it activated. Any other reports from commissioners, from committees, announcements from commissioners? Any? We'll move on to first item of business on our agenda, and that's 1400 7th Street Northwest. This is a request for support for renewal of the Class B ABCA license for Giant of Maryland. And do we have a representative for Giant? If so, please raise your hand or use *69 if you're on the phone so that we can get you. We're anticipating a representative from the law firm of Malleus and O'Brien who represents Giant, but I don't see anyone indicating that they are present to represent them. So we'll move on. Unfortunately, we were not able to get representatives from Giant to be able to participate in the committee meetings. There was not a committee meeting this month, but we'll run through the particulars and the investigative history of this particular license. So this is Giant number 2376. As previously noted, it's a Class B retail grocery, a license held by Giant of Maryland LLC. Hours of operation are Sunday through Saturday, 24 hours. Now, the store isn't open 24 hours, but they are able to sell alcohol 24 hours a day if they were ever to resume 24-hour operation. Hours of sales and service are 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. And they do have a tasting license as well. In terms of investigative history, in the last renewal period, there was an instance of no ABC manager on duty. This is a secondary tier violation. They paid a $250 fine. This occurred back on April the 8th of 2021. And that's the only item of investigative history. So this is in my single member district. I have not received any concerns from constituents related to the operation of the Giant, specifically their sale of alcoholic beverages. Are there any questions before I make a motion related to this particular item? And not seeing any questions from members of the commission. Any questions on part of members of the community that are on the Zoom call? Please raise your hand or dial *69 if you phone. Again, this is related to the alcoholic beverage license for the O Street Market Giant at 1400 7th Street. Questions? Not seeing any questions. I'll move that Advisory Neighborhood Commission 2G support the renewal of the Class B license for Giant of Maryland LLC, trading as Giant number 2376, better known as the O Street Market Giant, and that we communicate that support to the Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Administration and may I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by myself and seconded by Commissioner Brown. Any further discussion on the part of the commission? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
That's
Camera isn't working. Aye.
6-0-0. Thank you very much. So the next item is another APC license renewal. And this is for a hotel in Single Member District 2G04. That is the Courtyard by Marriott and Residence Inn Marriott at 901 L Street Northwest. This is in Commissioner McCarty's Single Member District. Commissioner McCarty, would you like me to read the basic information about the license?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So this is a type B license that's held by the Courtyard by Marriott and Residence Inn by Marriott Washington downtown, located 901 L Street Northwest. Hours of operation are 7 a.m. to 12 a.m., 7 days a week. Those are also the hours of sales and service. They also do have a tasting license. And we did reach out to the general manager of the hotel several times, trying to invite them to participate in our proceeding this evening, but did not have a response. So, Mr. McCarty, would you like to make any comments related to this renewal?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Padro. I'll just add, for the record, so this particular licensee, there were a couple of complaints earlier in the summer, late spring, early summer, about delivery noises. That was a precipice for an earlier resolution that I introduced that was adopted by the committee in the summer to address that. Since then, I checked in with the residents who were concerned about that. They did tell me that they felt things were in a good place, and they actually noticed that Marriott did hire new vendors that come at appropriate times. So I asked, considering that, would they feel comfortable with us, voicing support for this license? And they said yes. They just asked me to check in with them and the other businesses in the alley to, promote good stewardship of our alleys and public safety. But otherwise, we have my constituents' blessing to support this.
Great. Hearing that, there are no questions from members of the commission. Would you like, or members of the public?
Yeah, so
I was just going to see if anyone has questions from the public. They can use the raise your hand feature or *69 if they're on the phone, but I don't see anyone indicating an interest in doing so. So please go ahead and make a motion.
Yeah, I would move that Commission 2G share its support to ABCA in regards to the renewal of the liquor license Class B for the Marriott Courtyard in 2G04.
Friendly amendment that it's the Courtyard by Marriott and Residence Inn by Marriott, Washington downtown.
Accepted.
Is there a second?
I second.
It's been moved by Mr. McCarty, seconded by Ms. Nigro. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous 6-0-0. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is discussion of potential transition to hybrid meetings. At our last meeting, we briefly touched on the subject of when and if we should resume in-person meetings or potentially hybrid meetings, the combination of both having commissioners be in a physical location such as the Wafati Library or another government building in our jurisdiction that could host us, and also using the Zoom platform to be able to expand the reach of the meetings. So a number of commissions have done hybrid meetings with various levels of success. I can report I've actually sat in on a couple to try to see how it was working, and sometimes it can be a little clunky, but eager to hear from other members of the commission how they feel about a potential transition to hybrid, or so inclined to go back to having traditional in-person only meetings. Rochelle, you got your hand up.
So, I mean, how many people do we have on the call tonight on the other side? Six people?
We've got 6 folks. I mean, because we
I
obviously
mean,
have an
no.
agenda. Have an agenda that has 2 items on it, so I'm not
Well,
surprised.
but I mean, I think just for convenience and ease, I know that my seniors love when they want to zoom in, they can just pick up the phone and zoom in and stay inside their house. No one ever said, I want to go see the commissioners in 2G in the basement of the Shaw Library on a cold February night. Said no one. So it's just, I think it's easy and just convenient for everyone, for the presenters, for us. I mean, you can call in or zoom in. No fuss, no muss.
All right, Commissioner Watkins, you've got your hand up.
Yes, but we as commissioners have to be in person, and the attendees will be hybrid, or would we have the choice to either be in person or on Zoom?
So the hybrid meetings that I have seen have had a physical meeting taking place in a public building where there are both commissioners and audience members in person, and then there is the option for anyone that isn't able to physically be present to be engaged through the Zoom platform. So I hope that answers your question.
So that means we wouldn't have to commit to being in person. We could be on Zoom as well.
Right. It's
Okay.
encouraged, that as many commissioners as possible be at the physical meeting, but not required. Being accessible via the Zoom, would count for the forum, etc.
Thank you.
I would agree with Rochelle. I think this forum is very effective. And because we have a large population of seniors, I think this would be the best forum. But I'll go with whatever the majority goes along with.
Okay, Commissioner Barry?
So I've heard people ask me when we're going to have in-person meetings again, but that does not, from my experience, the short amount of experience that I've had, correlate to them actually showing up to the meeting. I also recognize that I think people feel like having an in-person meeting means that they won't be muted. And that's what I've been told. They've been muted because of this platform. They're not able to speak freely. I would like to know from, the commissioners who we have had in-person meetings, if you think there's more engagement, if you think that it is a better setup. I know that this is convenient for us, but if more people are participating, if more people are engaged, then that's what we should strive for.
Alex, can I say something?
Sure.
Can you hear me? So
Yes.
here's what happened. So half the room would be filled up with developers if something was going on. And then there'd be like the usual 8 people who always came, right? And Alex would know who these people, 8 people always came, and then a sporadic, and then up once the developer thing happened, there goes half the room. So, and then you'd be left every time with the same 8 people. That is what happened at our in-person meetings. The end.
I agree.
What has happened at the other meetings that you've been to, Alex?
I mean, similar situations. If there's a hot topic, then you can see, you know, a greater turnout, just as we did when we had in-person meetings. I mean, if there was a particular development project, you would get people that had an interest in the project, wanted to see what the project looked like. Remember, this was before Zoom, so people had to actually show up in order to see the plans and ask questions of the developers. And then, yes, when all of the big presentations were done, you know, you went from sometimes a room full of people, maybe 100 people, and you know, down to under 20. So you know, if folks or the majority wants to try to have a hybrid meeting, I'm happy to facilitate one. But the sense that I'm getting from folks that have expressed an opinion is that that isn't a high priority right now. Commissioner McCarty, you've got your hand up.
Yeah. I just want to add, I don't have a strong opinion either way. I'm going to do whatever my constituents request and advocate for that. But I've only had one constituent in the past 10 months that asked about in-person meetings. They've since moved out of 2G altogether. So I'm not super concerned about them any longer. I would just say, the hybrid worries me a little bit just because of the clunkiness and technology setup. I've heard other commissions have had issues with just, we're all volunteers, right? And so making sure that someone's got to be there to help get it set up. And I know the ANC has like a kit or something, but it's a lot of logistics. And so I would be supportive if we felt immense community pressure to host in that format. But I would say we've had, with the exception of this meeting, we've had very great turnout at our online meetings. So, I'm not concerned about participation, at least at this moment.
Perhaps like if we have a hot topic, we would do an in-person meeting instead of just making it something just across the board, because it is about to get very unpleasant outside. So I mean, maybe that's an option for us.
I think that is absolutely an option. If there's a topic, especially where we feel that there are constituents that are affected that are less likely to be digitally connected, then I think that would also be a compelling reason to consider doing in-person or hybrid.
Okay.
Commissioner Watkins, you've got your hand up again.
I was listening to Commissioner Barry and you in terms of the hot topics. So how are we going to determine what is a hot topic? Like you said, like Rochelle, Commissioner Negro said that when we have developers, we have a full room. Once that's over, then the room is empty again. So I understand the seniors love Zoom, but I think we should give our constituents the option to go either way. But that's my opinion. I'll do whatever. I'll support whatever y'all would like to do. But I just think maybe we can't judge that tonight's meeting on whether people are going to show up or not. And I know it's getting colder, but thank you.
I think that decision to have an in-person or a hybrid meeting could be made when we're developing the agenda for a particular month's meeting. If there are topics that we feel that would particularly lend themselves to needing to bridge the digital divide, that would give us a compelling reason to seek out an alternative to just a Zoom meeting, then I think that would be the time for the commissioner or commissioners in whose single member districts the projects or issues are located to suggest that we deviate from having a Zoom meeting. Does that work for everybody?
Yep.
Yes. Mhm.
I'm seeing thumbs up.
Mhm.
All right. I do see that we have a guest from Pepco, or at least we did a few minutes ago. Maybe she's no longer with us. Yes, Linda Greenan. Linda, did you want to make a presentation or make an announcement to the community and the commission?
Just an announcement, just a quick announcement. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Chairman Padro, and good evening, commissioners of 2G. So I'm Linda Greenan from Pepco. I'm External Affairs Manager, and just wanted to let folks know and hope everybody can attend. We've got a flyer, and I'll try to share it. I don't see a share button here, but let me just tell you what this is about.
You can put it in the chat if you have a link.
Say again?
You can put a link in the chat if you have a link.
Okay. Yeah, I don't. I'll get it to you. Okay. We are having an open house, Pepco is, on Saturday, November 4th, from 11 to 1 at Pepco Edison Gallery. And it's to talk about our multi-year plan, which is a plan to raise rates from 2004, 24, 25, and 26. And we wanted to make sure people are fully educated, wanted to share the plan with you. A lot of what we need to do has to do with hardening the grid, making sure that we are doing everything that we can to help the city's very aggressive and very important climate plan. And so that's what it's about. It's from 11 to 1, and it's for wards 1, 2, 3, and 4. Excuse me, 1, 2, 3, and 6. And so I will send the flyer over. I do not see an icon here at the bottom where I can show it. Can anybody see that?
I can give you the ability to share. Here. Hold on a second.
Let me see if this works. I just let me see if I can do it this way.
You hit the green share screen button, you should be able to.
There it is. There it is. That'll, if you click on that, that'll take you to the flyer. But I'm happy to send individual to every commissioner an individual flyer, but this is the link to it. So there you go. There it is. So
okay. That came through on the chat if anyone's looking.
Great, great.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. I mean, I'm happy to answer questions. I'm not the subject matter expert on the issue. That's why it really requires sort of a deep dive to talk about what it is that we're looking at. We're wanting to do a lot of renewables and EVs, and all of that requires us hardening the grid and doing some things differently. And so that's what's contained in this plan. And we will have folks who are subject matter experts at this event, and so hope that everybody can show up. We'll have stuff to eat, and the Pepco Edison Gallery is on 8th Street, just up from the Portrait Gallery. It's essentially parallel to the Pepco building on 9th Street. It's 800 block. So it's just up from the Portrait Gallery, around the corner from Martin Luther King Library. And so we hope that it's convenient enough to folks to make it. So that's it. That's what it's about. And I hope everybody can attend, and please share it with your constituents. And we'd like to have a real good showing so that we can let people know as much about the plan as is possible. I know people don't like to have their rates increased, but we have a plan for what we're going to do with the funds. And the whole purpose of having a multi-year plan starting in 2024 and then 2025, 26, is that it gives some predictability about what the rates will look like. So, so that's it. Any questions?
All right, members of the commission, any questions for Ms. Greenan from Pepco? Don't see any questions there. Questions from members of the audience, please use the raise your hand feature or dial *69 if you're on the phone and would like to ask a question of the representative from Pepco have with us this evening. Again, *69 if you're on the phone, or raise your hand. Don't see anybody indicating that they have any questions for you, Linda. So we thank you for sharing the information about the meeting, and hopefully folks will avail themselves of the opportunity to find out more about the potential rate increase.
Thank you. We really do hope people come out. So thank you very much for the opportunity to let you know about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, moving on to administrative matters, because again, I don't see anyone from MPD or any other district government agencies. If anyone is in the audience from a district government agency would like to be recognized, please use the raise your hand feature or dial *69 if you're on the phone, but otherwise we'll continue with our housekeeping matters. So first of all, approval of minutes of the September 14th, 2023 meetings. I will go ahead and make a motion to approve the minutes with any corrections submitted to our minute taker. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by myself, seconded by Commissioner Brown. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by raising their hands and saying aye.
Aye.
That Commissioner McCarty is abstaining because he's not present at this meeting. So that is 5-0-1. Next, approval of expenses, Commissioner Brown.
Okay. We received our statement from the bank, FBC Bank. Ending date was October 1, 23. The opening balance was $2,482.36. We had the $100.69 charge from last month's Zoom, which brought our balance down to $2,381.67. At this point, this is the actual accounting of everything that we've done this year. Up to the point that I just got to $2,381. We will be having 6 additional checks that are being written. These were expenses from last month. $234.05 for Steve McCarthy. That was reimbursement from February's meeting. And I had another one that I'd overlooked was $79.18 for Commissioner Barry. I have 3 checks that have been written. These have all been approved. For $275 for the July meeting, for the note taker, Karen Yaley, August and September. And the other expense that we had was postage that I mailed out checks to Ms. Yaley, $9.65. Those outstanding checks were $1,147.88. Our actual balance after all the checks have been liquidated will be a remaining balance right now of $939.16 before this month's expenses. I have 2 expenses for this month. I'd like to make a motion to approve the expense for the charge for this meeting, Zoom, $100.69, payable to, Zoom. It was a charge.
Is there a second to the motion?
I second.
Moved by Mr. Brown, seconded by Commissioner Nigro. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great.
Mr. Brown, I didn't see your hand or hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
That's unanimous, 6-0-0.
Yes, and the last one is this month's notes and web service for Karen Yaley. I move that ANC 2G pay Karen Yaley the amount of $275 for the services of the October meeting.
Is there a second?
I second.
Moved by Commissioner Brown, seconded by Commissioner Nigro. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye.
Aye.
And that concludes.
Rochelle, I didn't hear your vote.
Aye.
It's unanimous, 6-0-0.
Right. Just by way of announcement, I will be finalizing the third quarter report, and that will be approved next month.
That would be the fourth quarter report because that's the full year.
Okay, yes, fourth quarter. I'm sorry. So as soon as the fourth quarter report is completed, we'll get our additional funding, so we'll be just fine.
And since we actually did have a treasurer's report, I would ask for someone to make a motion that we accept the treasurer.
So moved.
Was that a second, Commissioner Berry?
I second.
Oh, yeah, Commissioner Berry raised your hand. So motion made by Commissioner McCarty, seconded by Commissioner Berry. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye, raising your hand.
Aye.
Yes. Thank you very much. Rochelle, do you have a hand up?
Yeah, I have a question. So actually, Tony, when all the checks clear, how much money do we have left?
At this point in time, it's going to be 900 and
939.16.
Yes.
Okay, so let me bring you guys up to date about the central cell block when I filed the appeal.
Okay.
So the appeal was filed this past weekend because I waited very diligently to see if the Department of Buildings would actually let me see the permit and the documentation used to approve that permit. Basically anything at this point. And they chose not to. And they made me do a FOIA. So the catch-22 when you do an appeal is you actually have to see the permit. So I had spoke with the zoning people and they know the whole story and they actually talked to their lawyer. So I actually filed an appeal without seeing the permit. So this is something quite unique and I'll be hearing soonish whether we're going to be able to move forward with anything because it's kind of at this as a catch-22. Well, don't deny me my hearing because I haven't seen the permit. And so they're kind of in a quandary now, right? And so it could be a little bit of a backfire for the Department of Buildings because I don't think anyone expected, frankly, me to do this. And I did the appeal on a theory, as we know, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they got to say they have to have some response. And so my question was, at this point, if it was to move forward, would be to get some actual legal guidance. But from what you have told me, we do not have enough money for that.
So we don't, but we do have the ability to access legal assistance in zoning matters through OANC.
I don't. I asked Kent. They haven't hired that person yet. Trust me. I try. Listen, I asked that question. Unless this person magically appears in the next. If it does move forward and if this person does appear with the next whenever. But that was my first question to him, and they don't have that person on board yet.
Yeah.
Well, and the alternative is I would actually ask, Kent, since they don't have the person in place, whether or not they would be willing to fund, an outside legal counsel, to assist in that.
Okay. Well, that's a good idea, and we'll see where this goes. But clearly, it's being discussed at a high level because. How could this? You have to be able to appeal, but you have to be able to see the permit to do it. So I kind of am enjoying this moment.
Well,
To be fair.
I think it's rather frustrating, actually. I'm glad that you're enjoying it.
Well, because at one point they're going to have to show the permit. That's the
Okay.
thing, you know,
Yeah.
because if the zoning people go back and say no, you can't move forward. Well, why can't I move forward? Because let me see the permit then.
Mhm.
Yeah, catch 22.
Yep, the total catch 22.
Mhm.
And the Department of Buildings was officially noticed. I followed the directions. Granted, it was no great legalese on my part, but it is what it is. And we're waiting to see. Literally, they actually said that I should have been given an answer by now, but I didn't. So their lawyers were, it was discussed with their lawyers. They were given notification, and so we'll see where it lands. But it's going to be interesting, to say the least.
Mhm.
Okay, well,
Okay.
thanks for the update on that.
Yeah, Rochelle, as far as planning, I think we're gonna get another, about $7,000.
Well, we'll see what happens, but that's good to know.
Okay. And I need to either catch up with you or Alex to sign these checks so I can get them out this weekend. So I'll call you.
I'm available tonight. You have the checks ready.
Okay. All right.
All right. Any other matters for the good of the order? See any hands being raised? So the commission's next meeting will be held on November the 9th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Via Zoom. And if there are no other matters before the commission, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Brown, seconded by Commissioner McCarty. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye, raising your hands. Aye.
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 It's unanimous, 6-0-0. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This meeting is adjourned at 7:25 p.m.
Less than an hour.
Yay. Bye, everyone. Stay
Good
safe.
night, all.
Happy
Everybody be good.
Halloween.
Be
Happy
safe.
Halloween.
Happy
Yeah.
Halloween.
Hi.
All
And
right.
stay safe, and please join us on the public safety walk next Tuesday if you're available.
Okay. Got
Bye
you.
now.
Take care.